notice. To do that in BI, I simply do %D. Then I go into what I have prepared on the configuration and copy that bit of the configuration. Let's go ahead and skip a bit of this. So let's go into the agent.conf. Okay, so in this case, my Linux agent, which is where I think I am now, yeah, that's correct, will have this bit of configuration. Each one of your lab guides is, of course, personalized to your environment's variables here. Okay, and this one's part of Ubuntu. This particular agent has an Ubuntu. Perfect. Notice one thing. Anytime you make a change to the osec.conf, you need to restart the agent for the changes to take effect. However, every time you change the centralized configuration, the agent's going to say, well, I notice I have something new, so I'm going to restart myself, right? So it doesn't do that with the osec.conf, it does do so with the agent. So I don't need to restart it here because it will restart itself once I modify the centralized configuration. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the same over here for our indexer agent. So I'll delete it like this. I could also delete it, and as I mentioned on the guide, by doing other things. I could delete the file. However, I always advised against that because there is other bits of information, like what's the ownership information, the permissions of the file. Let's not mess with that. Let's not give it root ownership instead of Wazuh ownership that it has now. We can basically do an echo there to blank the file out. So that's what I've done there. Let's go ahead and copy the configuration for indexer. Very important that you don't use the one or the other because they will have different profiles and we will apply different settings to each one of them. So there we go. Let's go ahead and change that. That's it. Nothing else needs to be done here. Now let's go for the Windows machine. If we go into the Windows machine through our web interface, now let's leave that there. Doesn't mind me. Okay, so here we go. We have our interface and we can go into view config. It's as simple as that. Here we have, of course, this is a visual editor, so I can simply hit Ctrl-A and then delete to have a blank file. And in that file, we are going to be adding this configuration. Here we go. Simple as that. Profile, Windows 2019, nothing else. Hit save. Again, I could restart if I wanted to, but it's not going to be necessary because the next step is to modify the centralized configuration. And each time you modify the centralized configuration, the agent will restart itself. So that's perfect. Okay, so then we have prepared out of the box a set of files. And I'm going to go ahead and use a visual, oh no, don't shut down the machine, a visual editor here to log in into that machine. So let's go ahead and, well, that's FTP : /root app manager h0.lap.wazuh.info. Okay, so if I wait a couple of seconds, that loads that, and if we go into var and then temp, this does have a bit of lag to it. You'll find the files that we're asked to add into the groups, right? In the case, we provide a simple command to do so, but I want to show you graphically what is being done. So I'll open this file, bring it over to this screen. Come on, there we go. Okay, there we go. So this is going to be my linuxagent.conf, right? And as you may notice, it has a lot of information. What's the client buffer or the leaky bucket or anti-flooding mechanism, and then the operating system for Linux, and then the different profiles and whatnot. Okay, so in my case, I'm just going to copy this, and where it says profile indexer, I'm going to change that for OS Amazon, just to give it a try, see if that works. Okay, since that is the operating system. I'll actually do it differently. I'll do it with the Ubuntu one because I'm not sure how Amazon writes its software family, its operating system family. Anyway, let's go ahead here, load our groups. In our groups, we'll edit the Linux one. You can go here by this pencil, directly into the edit group configuration, or instead, if you already clicked into the agent, you can go ahead into files and modify that agent.conf file. It's two different ways of getting to the same file. We paste that in here, right? And in my case, well, one thing I want to do is, Linux agent, instead of having it go by Linux agent H0, which is what you're supposed to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and say OS Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu, there we go. I imagine it must be lowercase if it works at all. Once I hit save there, that, again, the agent is continuing to communicate with the manager. And if we go ahead and see this, we're going to see the moment, probably not fast enough. No, not fast enough. Yeah, we missed it. But let's see. Yeah, we missed it by a few seconds. No, yeah, we have. So a few seconds ago, it went ahead and said, I see a new change in the configuration. And since that happened, let's see. Since that happened, I'm going to restart. Agent is restarting due to change configuration changes, right? So that happened right there. So things that I want to look for, I want to see if it's monitoring that file. I intentionally have added files that are not there on the system. So power log engine access log, it's not there. It's going to fail to find it. And another one is the agent testing log. That file does not exist. So I wanted to verify if that OS family worked. Come on, quit. And grep for that in that file. log. And we also want to verify if, that worked on both sides. So we're looking for this string. Oh, no, I got the wrong one. Sorry. Grab. In testing, for some reason I copied in the next one. Let's see if it has anything there. Well, no. Okay, so Ubuntu did not work. Okay. So that leads me to believe the only options are for OS are Darwin, Windows, and Linux. And again, as I mentioned, well, in the documentation, what it says specifically, if we go into user manual references, let's see, references, but for the centralized configuration, right, the agent.conf, you'll find that it says, well, in this table, OS, allow values any OS family. But again, maybe there is a well-defined concept for what is an OS family. I would have guessed Ubuntu would fall under. Maybe Wikipedia had some insight. But anyway, I digress. Would be good to know exactly what it means here for Linux. Also works, by the way, apparently. Capital L Linux. Okay. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and do the same. The centralized configuration change for my Windows agent. I'll just copy this one. In this case, I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to go ahead into my groups, Windows one, and just replace, the default one from this. You may have noticed another warning we saw on that log, right? If we go ahead and see my log in my agent, you will see that it's also complaining. Remote commands are not accepted from the manager. So it's ignoring several remote commands. Some of these remote commands are going to be the one that I mentioned for looking at the disk space in the partition, right? With the -p. So this is, again, a security feature, because if I were to go ahead and add another one just like it, but goes ahead and, instead of doing something innocuous like df-p, it goes ahead and does rf minus, rm minus f, and then rf, and then slash, and leave it at that. And of course, that agent's going to have its root folder wiped out. That's not going to be good for anybody. And you could do, of course, many more things. You could open up a web shell, do other things that you're not supposed to do. So in that case, that is why that setting is there. You can override it, and you can override it with a simple command. And it is something that you will often see in guides, and it won't always have the same warning that it should. In this case, this is overriding a security feature, right? You can do so. but do it at your own risk. Great thing about it is that, if you have good security on your Wazuh manager, it does give you a lot more power. It does give you the capability to run things centrally over all of your endpoints, right? But it does not have the version control that you would have if you were to use a proper orchestrating tool. So, of course, whenever possible, if you have Puppet, Chef, Ansible, use those tools for orchestrating. That is what they are supposed to do. Wazuh is supposed to be a security monitoring tool, not an orchestration tool. But yeah, if Wazuh is all that you have and you still want to do it, you can do it. You can do it, and you can do it somewhat easily. And that is through this possibility over here. Okay. Nope, that's the command for Linux. I want to do the one for Windows, which is very similar. That works. Okay, great. Any questions? Aside from, can we please go take a rest now? Okay, let's see. I know we have many time zones in here, many time zones. Let's see, question? Okay, happy face, great. And I think all time zones, no, there is somebody from India, so some of the time zones will be 30 minutes off. So my idea is to take a 40-minute break. I think is sensible, since we have gone through quite a lot of the material already. So up until the end of the hour, my clock is going to be 2 p.m. For us in Europe. The rest of it is going to be at the end of the hour. For India, it's going to be until half an hour, okay? Luckily, we don't have anybody from Nepal or anybody of those half hours. So I'm gonna leave here on the chat, 40-minute break. And I will stop sharing my screen, but I'll leave the call on. So feel free to ask questions over the chat. And yeah, see you in 40 minutes.